Well, we got a pretty nice Friday going. It's going to be a little bit on the windy side today, probably some gusts up around 30 to 40. That's the big weather story on the day today. And a cool pattern shaping up for us here. We had several days, we're up in the 60s and even low 70s, but we won't be seeing 60 degrees here for quite some time, as the pattern will take us anywhere from the mid-upper 30s to about the low 50s being the top end of what we're going to see over the next 10 days or so. So let's get at it and take a look at what's ahead. First of all, a snowstorm hit upper Michigan, Escanaba, near Escanaba, 10.4 inches of snow. Munising, there's one spot in Munising that already had 32 inches of snow on the ground, and they got another half a foot of snow up there. Gladstone down near Escanaba with over 7 inches. Menominee and St. Ignace, of course, St. Ignace near Mackinac Island, 7 inches there. Newberry, a lot of people go snowmobiling up there, and they have plenty of snow, including half a foot of new snow. Most snow in lower Michigan was 5 inches at Central Lake. Petoskey there with 4.3, and Sault Ste. Marie keeps getting the snow. Sault Ste. Marie has had 188 inches of snow so far this winter, and that is 80 inches above average. So that would be, almost 7 feet more than they would normally get up there. And they have had 6 inches or more of snow on the ground pretty continuously since November the 25th. So they're going to go 4 months with pretty decent snow cover there. Here's what's ahead for us over the next few days. First of all, we're not going to see any tornadoes around here. This is a summary of tornado damage that occurred here near Columbus, Indiana. And this was Wednesday night. This was an EF2, a pretty decent tornado, peak winds at 112 miles an hour, the tornado path about 13 and a half miles and 350 yards wide, which is a pretty substantial tornado. You know, keep in mind a football field is 100 yards long, so imagine 3.5 times that wide. The tornado crossed or developed very close to Interstate 65, south of Indianapolis, between Columbus and Seymour. Fortunately, no injuries were reported with this particular tornado. So let's see what's ahead here for us. Big thing today will be the wind. Pretty strong wind out there. Not as cold, though, as it was yesterday. Not today won't be quite as cold as it was yesterday. There'll be a chance for a little bit of light mix here Friday night into Saturday morning. It wouldn't amount to too much here, but we may see a little bit of rain, and that may end with a little bit of wet snow here. Not anticipating any travel problems here Saturday morning, but kind of a wintry start to the day. Cold air returns on Saturday. We'll be in the low 50s here today, but temperatures may be stuck only in the mid to upper 30s here during the day on February, and even colder than that off to the north. And like I said, the colder weather pattern is going to be with us here into much of next week. Well, we'll take a little time out right now to thank our sponsors. Take a listen.
Need a fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service? Complete Care Concierge has you covered. Serving all of West Michigan, we offer one-time, daily, weekly, and bi-weekly cleans, plus move in, move out. We also service apartment hallways and laundry rooms. Our work is guaranteed, gift cards are available, and we even clean on weekends. There's no better way to say I love you than giving a tired mom a break from dishes and laundry. Are you a busy professional? Pamper yourself by taking vacuuming and dusting off your plate. Office manager, keep your business looking and feeling its very best. Call 616-264-1397 today for a spotless space and total peace of mind.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Well, here's a look at 72-hour snowfall. You can see the snow keeps coming out in the western United States. I keep looking at some of the webcams out there at the national parks, and a lot of snow on the ground out there, and that trend will continue here for a while. The snow is going to be hitting the Upper Peninsula again, northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota. The orange color indicates there could be a foot of snow on parts of Isle Royale and northeast Minnesota. 6 inches in the yellow color, and that dark blue color is about 3 to 6 inches. So this will not be the biggest storm of the winter, but yet another round of snow for people up there in the UP, and it pretty much covers all of the UP with snow falling all the way back towards Sault Ste. Marie once again. So interesting weather pattern for them as they continue to see winter weather up there, and no sign of real spring weather yet. Well, let's take a look right now at the forecast for today. 53 degrees. It'll be maybe a touch cooler along the lakeshore north of Muskegon. But the big thing will be the wind. It's not going to feel like 53 because of the fact we're going to have that strong wind blowing. It's going to be coming out of the south. Temperatures to start the day in the mid-upper 20s. We'll see low 50s again in the afternoon. Humidity drops to about 50% here, so it's going to be a fairly dry day. And the wind starts out at about 15 miles an hour mid-morning and then increases to about 25 to 28 miles an hour here during the afternoon. So plan on inland areas seeing some gusts to around 40 miles an hour as we continue to be in a windy month here in West Michigan. Long-range outlook, and here's the forecast high temperatures here for the next 3 days. 53 degrees or so for Grand Rapids. Low 40s up in upper Michigan. If you're heading down south of Chicago, there'll be some mid to upper 50s there. We move ahead to Saturday, and you'll be able to see the cold air that overspreads the area. Temperatures in the mid-afternoon only in the mid-30s over much of West Michigan. And look at up north, Sault Ste. Marie, a high temperature of just 21 on Saturday. How about that? I mean, that's what they would normally see here in the middle of winter. And with a little bit of snow coming down up there, it's going to be a pretty chilly day. Temperatures stay below freezing up there. By the way, if you're interested in winter sports, the ski resorts have plenty of snow. There's 2 resorts down there, Mount Bohemia and what's the other one? I don't know. I wrote that down here. Mount Bohemia and Marquette have bases over 70 inches up there as they continue to get hammered with snow here this month. So if you want to head north, the ski resorts have ended their year at Bittersweet and Canonsburg, but if you travel off to the north, Caberfay will be open, Shush Mountain, Boyne Mountain, and you can head up there and enjoy some time in the snow here. One of the last times maybe of this season. Temperatures moderate a little bit here on Sunday. We're back to the mid-40s. Readings in the could reach the 50-degree mark down toward the Indiana border, and we're back up a little bit above freezing by a couple degrees up into UP, but most all of the weekend will be below freezing up there in upper Michigan. And again, it could get a little on the breezy side once again. So let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. Windy weather here during the day today, 52 or 53. Temperatures only in the 30s here on Saturday. We start out with a little bit of sun Friday morning, this morning, and then the clouds roll in. Overnight, we see a little bit of light rain changing over to some wet snow. Sunday, we see some rain develop once again, and that changes over to some wet snow, especially during the day on Monday. Temperatures stay pretty close to the freezing mark, so again, main roads shouldn't be too much of a problem. Tuesday could turn out to be a dry day and only about 44 degrees. Latest long-range outlook is in now for the 8 to 14-day period. That covers an entire week, March 28th through April 3rd. Cooler than average weather is expected over the Great Lakes and Northeast. The warm weather will be going strong from Texas back toward the desert Southwest. And throughout the South, some rather warm temperatures too. Birmingham, you're going to be seeing temperatures in the 70s at least several days, and there may be a day or two you approach 80 down there. It'll be 80 or better down in Florida, and we'll see some 80s and maybe even a 90 or two showing up already in parts of the Rio Grande Valley back toward Phoenix, Arizona. And in terms of precipitation, look for above average precipitation, mainly in the form of rain, but a little bit of snow mixed in. And much of the country seeing above average precipitation. The only dry area expected out west, where it's often dry at this time of year. Well, I got some extras that Michelle threw in for us. She is working at the airport in Birmingham tonight, but sent along some slides to show. Today, the anniversary of the famous tornado that hit the southern United States. There were several strong tornadoes, Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Those tornadoes combined killed 209 people. Keep in mind that we have a lower tornado, despite the fact we have so many more people living in the United States, we have a lower death toll now from tornadoes. And that's because people know what to do during a tornado, and they do it. And that's pretty important. This is the time of year in spring to make a plan so that you know exactly what to do when severe weather threatens. Two rules that are primary are to go to the lowest place you can get to, and then to stay away from windows, because oftentimes windows break and that glass comes flying in. So keep that in mind. But on this date, pretty devastating tornado situation across the southern United States. We'll move on and talk about the Twister Netflix documentary talking about the tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri. Now, that's not the tornado that hit Joplin. The one that hit Joplin was much bigger and wider, a monster of a tornado that developed quickly and moved through a very populated area. The Twister documentary on Joplin certainly worth seeing. We'll move on and take a look at the Joplin tornado. Take a look at the shape of the radar. We have kind of like a number 6 shape. Can you see that right there in the center of the screen? And that is where the tornado was occurring, right at the end of that number 6. It kind of looped around like that. But this was an amazing tornado, showed up well, and people were given a chance to run. A lot of people did not heed the tornado warning. Sirens are for people outdoors. People inside have to rely upon TV, radio. Your phone now should give you a warning when there's a tornado imminent to your area there. But again, that was the famous tornado, and that was an incredible year for tornadoes. There was a tornado outbreak on April 11th that year, 2011. And there were devastating tornadoes that day, including one that hit the Birmingham area. So let's take a look then at what's ahead here. This is the Joplin tornado documentary, some of the facts from it. By the way, you can see where Kansas City is, St. Louis. The star is where Joplin is, and many of you have probably been to Branson, Missouri, which is pretty close to the Arkansas border. 158 fatalities with the Joplin tornado. Over 1,000 were injured. One of the hospitals took a direct hit from the tornado, so they were not in the best of shape to try and take on some of those who were injured in the storm. And a lot of people went to different hospitals in regular cars. People just drove them to other hospitals instead of the one that was in the tornado path. 7th deadliest tornado in the United States, deadliest since 1947, and the deadliest since the Flint tornado of June 8th, 1953. That tornado killed, I believe, 116 people, and there were 1,000 injured with that one. And again, that was in 1953. So let's take a look at what else we got here. The Joplin tornado was an EF5. Very seldom do you get EF5 tornadoes. We average a little over 1 per year in the entire world. It's the strongest rating, and it's believed that winds exceeded 200 miles an hour with the storm. And this was in mid to late May, so all those poor trees there would have had leaves on them, and they are, of course, all gone. It struck in a very highly populated area, and it was difficult to see this tornado coming. There were a lot of low clouds and some rain wrapped around the particular storm. So again, check out that documentary on Netflix about the Joplin tornado. We got some high fire danger down in Florida, and you get this sometimes in spring. Unless Florida has ample and timely rainfall, vegetation can dry out there, and you have a high population. And a high population, you tend to get more people that are burning debris, that have campfires, that toss out cigarette butts and start fires that way. So if you're ever down in Florida there, this is the time of the year, in March and April especially, when you can get brush fires here. Cold front coming through, some high wind gusts prompted a red flag warning for Thursday into Friday here. There was a brush fire on the road. That's Highway 1 that goes from the mainland there out to Key West. And you can see all the fires, the wildfires that were started. Most of these are fairly small. A lot of them start near roads. You can almost sometimes pick out the roads where a tossed cigarette butt or something like that will start a fire. Interstate 75 coming down through the center part of Florida there. Wednesday, March 19th, there was a 14,000 acre wildfire in Southern California, and that's a large area. Fire started Tuesday afternoon. They can spread very quickly, these fires here. Well, let's go on. And there's a question for me. Where does Florida rank amongst U.S. states in terms of wildfires as measured by financial losses? Now, that's a very interesting caveat, because you can have a fire that can go a long ways in Alaska or Wyoming without hitting hardly a home at all. But when you get in the state of Florida, there's a lot of expensive real estate, expensive homes down there. So Florida ranks pretty high, probably in the top 5 in terms of measured by financial losses here. Of course, Michigan, a state where you really don't see much in the way of wildfires here. California tops the list, and I bet that average number is going to go up after the devastating fire in Los Angeles this year. Florida second on the list here, but considerably behind California with 269 million. Texas 240. Arizona, again, not a state that you associate with a lot of fires, but they do get fires, especially up into the forested areas up toward the northern part of the state and northeastern part of the state. And Utah coming in 5th at $191 million. So that's an interesting fact to know, that you have to be really careful with burning and cigarette materials and whatnot in the state of Florida during the spring. Another question for me. On March 21, 1994, this NHL hockey player tied Gordie Howe, of course, famous Red Wing, NHL goal-scoring record of 801 goals. Okay, now this was the era, if I remember right, of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. So those would be my first 2 guesses. I would assume that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gretzky was there first. So I'd probably put down Gretzky for the answer to that question, and that evidently is the right answer, Wayne Gretzky. Still going strong up in Canada, and active with a number of different charities too. So good question, Michelle. Anything else there? Oh, look at this. It doesn't give the month these pictures were taken, but if it was April, it wouldn't make much of a difference. But these are all pictures that I'm guessing that I took in winter and that I've shared on my blogs before. This is different years. Let's see, we've got 2023, 2024. I think I still have the same phone. 2024, yeah, 2024 one especially there is really pretty. Dandelion is French for lion's tooth. That's kind of interesting, and they're not native to North America. They're an invasive species. They were in Europe, but were noted in Asia as well. And they, somebody, and I don't know who that would have been, brought them here. And of course, we've had them ever since to deal with. I was up in Alaska, golly, this was a couple of years ago. And I stopped in a little tiny town there. And there was a very tame rabbit that came out. And you could get within about 5 feet of this rabbit. And there was a large patch there that was all grass with dandelions embedded in it. And I watched this rabbit, and this rabbit ate only the dandelions. It would go from one dandelion to the other and eat the leaves and eat the dandelion, and it would leave the grass. And I kept thinking, I got to take this rabbit home. But it stayed up there. What town was that in? It was the one town on the coast which was called Little Switzerland, and I think it had a Hispanic name, which sounded kind of strange for Alaska. But interesting that I ran into that rabbit there. Alaska is a beautiful place, by the way. I certainly would encourage you to head up there if you have the time and the wherewithal to head in that direction. We really enjoyed our trip up there. And of course, this year we are doing a trip to the Canadian Rockies through Holiday Vacations. So check that out too at Holiday Vacations, and look for Bill Steffen on the Wood Tour. Hey, I want to thank you for stopping by and staying with us here till the end. Have yourself an awesome Friday. Watch out for the wind out there, and a great weekend ahead.